All right, thank you so much, Maine. I appreciate you getting everybody in and started. Hello, everybody. My name is Kesley, and I will be your Cricut instructor today. I am so happy you're here and very excited that you are taking this tutorial class with me and a couple other helpers that I have on the back end. I have Joy and Lindsay with Cricut who will be answering your questions in the chat. So as we move along, if you have specific questions, please feel free to place them in the chat and they will do their best to get to your answer, either have them answer the question or feed it to me throughout the class. The class format, just so you guys know, it's exciting to get a machine and get started. And getting it all going and getting a familiarization with the software can seem a little bit daunting, but that's why we're here to help you. And I want to remind you that this class is being recorded. So you'll be able to see it in about 24 to 48 hours and you'll have a chance to review everything. So I just want you to sit back, relax, and know that we're here to give you a hand and assistance in getting started with your machine. So the class flow will begin with slides to give you an overview of Design Space, and it allows me to better highlight different features. Then we'll transition into the live Design Space where you can create along with me. And lastly, we'll send the image to our Cricut machines where we can complete the project. So let's not waste another moment and let's jump right in. I'm going to start by sharing my screen and opening up my slides. So this is a great opportunity if you'd like to go ahead and grab a notebook so you can take some notes as we move along. I will cover everything that every beginner needs to know. Okay, so getting started with Cricut. Welcome to the family. And I'd like to introduce you to the Cricut family of cutting machines. On the left, I have the Cricut Joy machine. This is the baby machine, the newest machine. It is the cubby hole machine, I call it, because it's so tiny and it tucks away. So if you're crafting with it, you can make your labels, your organization, cards, all kinds of fun stuff. And it's so compact, it can just tuck back away and you don't have to leave it out. The next machine is our Cricut Explorer Air, and this is probably our most popular machine. It will meet most, if not all, of your crafting needs. And then we have the Cricut Maker for those who want to take their crafting skills to the next level. We have adaptive tools that allow you to cut over 300 different materials on the Cricut Maker. So whichever machine you started with, you'll work with those machines using Design Space. Design Space is the Cricut software that communicates with your machine. You design in Design Space and you send your images over to your machine through Design Space. Design Space works on a variety of platforms. It works on a laptop, a desktop, on a tablet device, and on your phone. So no matter where you're crafting, on the go, at home, on separate floors of your house, you can use any of those devices. Now, to get started with Design Space, you'll need to get a Cricut ID. On the Cricut ID, you only need one ID. It doesn't matter how many different devices you'll be using Design Space on, and it doesn't matter how many different machines you have. If you have one machine or 8 machines, you'll only need one Cricut ID. And once you've signed up for your Cricut ID, you'll want to go ahead and download Design Space and get started. Along with Cricut ID, you'll have an opportunity to select Cricut Access. When you get a new machine, you have Cricut 30-day trial for Cricut Access. Cricut Access is the library of images that Cricut offers you. Over 100,000 images and growing daily. And I'm not joking when I say growing daily. There's always new images to find. There's over 500 fonts to use with Cricut Access and lots of projects to get you started with Cricut Access. Cricut Access has a tiered program, so you don't have to have Cricut Access. It's a perk that you can subscribe to monthly, and it gives you different perks along the way. So you don't have to have Cricut Access to use Design Space. That's the free square there. You get some images to work with, you get some fonts to work with, and you can buy designs a la carte. So it's sort of a pay as you go type of thing. And then you have the subscription formats. The standard format gives you unlimited access to all the different designs and the fonts and the projects, along with some other perks like 10% off online. And then we have the premium, which gives you a little bit more access to images, and it gives you a boost in line on customer service. So when you get Design Space, it will show up on your tablet as an app, on your phone as an app, on your computer as an app. Different devices do look a little bit differently. So I just want to kind of go out front, because some of you may be working on a tablet and some of you may be working on a computer and some of you may even be on a phone. So if my slides today are using my desktop, if you're using a phone or a tablet, look to the bottom for the different things I refer to, the different icons I speak of. So on the bottom left is the design panel. The design panel is where you insert images onto your canvas. And then you have your action items and your layer items are on the bottom. So I want everybody to be familiar. If you're on a different device, we know it's a little bit different than what you're seeing today, and I'll try and remember to point it out to you when we have those differences. There's what a phone would look like on Design Space. Okay, so when you open up Design Space, you land on the home page. And on the home page, you have about 4 to 5 different sections. The first section is your header section. That's this top bar right up here. And whether you're on the canvas of Design Space or the homepage of Design Space, it looks the same. So on the header bar, these 3 left, I call it a pancake. When you click on that, that takes you to your profile. And within your profile, you can switch between the home and the canvas. In your profile, you'll also look for settings if you want to change any settings, and a new machine setup. Those are the main things I use in the profile section. The next section below the header bar is the carousel. Now this will change periodically to show you new products that might be coming out, or to show you different machines that are coming out, or just really fun ideas and inspiration for things you can create. Below that line, or that bar, are where your projects are stored. So when you design on Design Space, you can save your project to access later. And again, it doesn't matter if you're working on your laptop. When you save that, it goes up into a cloud. So if you're sitting on your laptop working and then you go to your tablet device, when you log in with your Cricut ID, you'll be able to find all of your projects, no matter what device you designed them on. Then below that, below your projects, are video clips, playlists. And these are great for beginners. They are short clips of different ideas, different informative videos that will teach you as you go along, as a beginner, I say, because they really are geared towards beginners, and they're great, like just little short snippets of a video. If you want to learn, like, what is weaving? How do I know what that is? You can just click on that video and watch that. And then below that are the projects. And these are projects from the community. So other people have made projects, they've saved them onto their Design Space, and they're sharing them out with the rest of us. And then below that are Cricut inspired projects. Okay, so when you're ready to start making, you click on this, you go back to your header bar and you would click on the new project icon right here. And that will take you to Design Space Canvas. So this is where you really want to have your notebook out if you want to take notes. Your Design Space Canvas, this is the header bar here. Again, it's the same header bar, very similar header bar from what you have on your home screen. You can toggle between your home and your canvas right here underneath your pancake. Now, on the left side of your panel, at the 9 o'clock spot is the design panel. And on the design panel, this is where you find images or icons or information that you want to insert onto your canvas. So your design panel has a few different features, but think of your design panel as inserting. So on your left side, you insert, you come onto your canvas. The first, oops, let me back up 1 second, because again, just to point out a difference. If you're on a tablet device or phone, it will be on the bottom. On the desktop option and laptop, we have something called templates. And templates are actual life-sized templates, like t-shirts. So if you're making a t-shirt for, say, a family reunion, and you need one from onesie size up to extra, extra large size, you can pull in that t-shirt template and get your design sized properly for the different size t-shirt you're working with. This is only available on the desktop and laptop versions. And then projects, I showed you projects on your home screen. On a tablet device, you won't find projects. And then below that, I mean, you won't find the projects icon. Projects are still there, just not the icon. You have to go back to the home screen. Okay, below that are the images, images and text. Now, when you add text to your canvas, the add text icon will pop up. This little box will pop up, and this is where you would type in whatever text you wanted to add to your canvas, and the font edit bar shows up and becomes active. So when you want to type in a title or a header for a shirt or a scrapbook page or a card, you just click on the text icon, your text box comes up, and then you're able to edit any of your text. And you can edit your font, you can edit your size, you can edit this is where you go to curve your fonts, all under the edit bar for fonts. Now below text are shapes, and shapes are your just basic shapes, squares, circles, things like that. And you insert those onto your canvas by left clicking on a shape, and it inserts it onto your canvas. When you've added a shape to your canvas, you have this bar here. Now your shape edit bar shows up here and becomes active. So at this point, you can edit your shape layer by size. You can rotate it, you can flip it. If you have multiple shapes, you can align them and arrange them all from your header, your edit bar right here. Now, as you add shapes and images and text, each shape or text or image is its own layer. So I kind of like to think of it like a 7-layer dip. So every layer that you add onto your canvas is, every shape or image you add onto your canvas is a new layer. So in this example on my screen, my square would be my beans at the bottom, and I'm adding a circle shape on top of that, and that would be my guacamole. And then each time I add a new layer or image or text, it stacks on top of that bottom layer until you get to your cheese, your finished image. So you can see here, I brought in my square, and then I added a circle on top of the square. Now the circle lays on top of that square. So sometimes if you bring in a whole bunch of images at once, they may be tucked away or hidden behind another image, but you can find it in your layers panel on the right. So we bring things in on the design panel on the left, we edit them and change them across the top, and then we can see all of our layers here on the right side. And this is where you can do actions to the layers. So on your layers panel, you have slice, weld, attach, and flatten. We don't go over these action items in this class, but we do go over these action items in our 201 class. And I think our next one is July. I'm sure Lindsay or Joy will pop up a link for you guys. But these, once you're comfortable with the layout of Design Space and you're comfortable adding shapes and images and text, the layers is your next part you're going to want. The actions are the next part you're going to want to explore. So lastly, on our tour of the canvas is the zoom icon. And if you're on your computer, you want to use this to zoom in or out of your image. If you're on a tablet, you'll just use your fingers to zoom in and out. So just a quick review. We have the design panel. Think of images coming into your canvas. You have the header bar and then your edit bars underneath there. You have the layers on the right side with your action items below that. And then you have the zoom bar underneath that. And if anybody wants to, I'm just going to hold this here for a second. So you can either take a quick picture of it, or if you're taking notes, you can jot it down. But if you think about it in a clockwise rotation, starting at 9 o'clock and working your way around the canvas, you're bringing items in at 9, you're editing them at noon, you're doing actions at 3 o'clock, and it just works your way around the canvas. And at 6 o'clock, you're looking in and out. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about that design panel and bringing images into your canvas. When you click on the images icon on the left side there, that will take you to Cricut Access Images. And again, this is that library I was talking about with over 100,000 images that you can use. So when you come in, if you want to look for a specific image, if you know what project you're working on or something like that, you can look for your image by doing a search. And I got to tell you guys, I always look at the recently added images because they're just refreshing to see what's new, what they're working on. So I look at what's recently added, and I do usually check out the featured images too to get an idea of some fun stuff that's coming out. But if I know what I'm working on, I just go ahead and type in some of my keywords into this edit bar up here. And so for an example, I wanted to make a travel mug for my husband. So I typed in "love you" in a heart, and I got a lot of results. So sometimes I have time to scroll through all those results and find one that I like, but other times not so much. So I use the filter icons on the left side to reduce what I'm looking for. So and those are a lot of things to filter, that you have a lot of choices. So let's just walk through them real quick. The operation type basically refers to what you're going to ask your machine to do. Are you going to ask it to just cut? Do you want to just draw with it? Do you want to print then cut? Or do you want to cut and draw? So for my example, I was making a travel mug for my husband. I knew I just was going to cut something out. So I would click cut only. And I just wanted something simple. Basically, I wanted to make a sticker to go on a travel mug out of vinyl. So I just needed really something simple with only a single layer. And I knew I was going to be using vinyl. So you can use these filters to narrow down your options and what you're looking at, so you don't have to scroll through a whole bunch of stuff. When you found an image that you like, you can check on, it'll give you even more information. So let's talk about individual images for a second. This little A here will tell you that this is a Cricut Access image. So if you have Cricut Access, it's part of your Cricut Access and you can use it as you like. If you don't have Cricut Access, it will have a price. So I think it'll say subscribed with Cricut Access, or it will have a price down here at the bottom, or it might be free. This one happened to be free when I was looking for it. So that's that information. And then if you click on the I button here, it will give you more information about the image, like the name, the image number, and view image sets. So this again is another way to narrow down images or your choices. So if you're like, I like that image, but maybe there's something else that goes with it that I want to use, you can click on View Image Sets, and it will take you into a collection of images that coordinate with that initial image. So for example, I always think this one sort of says golden anniversary, and the name of it is Stay Golden. So it reminds me of, of like a anniversary party or something like in Hawaii. It's kind of got like that theme to it. So I might browse through that image set and find something either that I like better or that coordinates with my image that I initially liked. Then once you've selected your image, and let me just go back. If you go into View Image Sets, when you're ready to go back to your main image, you just click on this back to image right here, and that will take you back to your images. So I'm back with my Love You. I've selected it, so it's got this green box around it, and it's in my Q tray here to go on my canvas. Then once I'm ready to put it on my canvas, I just click Insert Image, and it comes onto my canvas. So I've brought my first image onto my canvas. Now it has 4 quick edit icons on the image. I can delete the image. So nope, didn't want it. I can delete that image and remove it. If I'd like to maybe rotate the image, I can rotate the image right here using this backward circle. I can also change the size of the image using these double arrows here. If this is locked, this is your proportion lock. So if this lock is on, I can proportionately adjust my height and my width. If I want to make this wider but not taller, or taller but not wider, I would unclick the proportion lock icon, and then I would have this icon would change to 4 arrows, and then you can adjust it any way you would like. So once you've got your size that you like on your image, then you just say make it, and it takes you over to the prepare screen here, where I can see where my image is. I know it's going to cut. It's a basic cut. It's going to cut on the material size of 12 by 12. And that's standard. It always comes up 12 by 12 because normally you're using a 12 by 12 mat. And then you hit continue, and it takes you to the cut screen. So I have my Air is connected to my computer. So it's going to work with my Air. I'm using the dial on my Air. So I've selected vinyl. And I'm just cutting, so it tells me to load my fine point blade in clamp B. And once I've loaded my paper, and once I've loaded my cut mat, it's ready to go, and it'll go right on. All right, so that is your overview of Design Space, where everything is, how to find an image, bring it onto your canvas, adjust the size, and cut it. Are you guys ready to cut with me? Go into Design Space Live, and we'll see if we can follow along on a bunch of steps. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready.
Kesley, can you go back to that slide that gave everybody the map of all the
Absolutely.
Some folks didn't get a chance to get that screenshot.
Definitely. Are there any other questions, Joy? That's a great, there we go.
Somebody wanted you to repeat the last steps after you select the image.
Okay, after you select the image, you just insert it onto your canvas, size it, and then click make it. And then then I'll send it right to your machine.
And Kesley will do that again in real time. So you'll get to see it one more time.
Yes, absolutely. And, I know as a beginner, when you're learning a new piece of software, it's a little bit, it can be a little bit overwhelming. I don't know if that's really the right word, but you will become a pro at this. And in like a month's time, 2 months time, you'll be like, I can't imagine that I didn't know where the text icon was or how to edit my text. It was right there. So I know when you're learning it, you have to remind yourself, wait, where is that? How do I find that? And then after times, you're just going to be like, oh, of course, that's right where it is. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this screen and I'm ready to open up my Cricut design space and share that screen. So go ahead, if you're working with me, go ahead and open up your design space and you'll land on your home page. Now, I should have reminded you, you may have an update. So if you got design space before you got your machine or it's been there for a while, you may not have you may not have you may have an update on your design space. So that will happen periodically. Design space will have an update for a new technique or new support. Like I think today it was to support the new 3 machines that are coming out. But so you'll see updates periodically. Okay, so you've opened up Design Space and you're on the home screen of Design Space. Again, just to point out, this is where you get to your profile, those 3 buttons here. This is where you can find your projects that you're working on, video playlists, and projects that you can make from the community or things that inspire you or that are current and relevant. Okay, so let's go ahead and click New Project on the header bar. So you want to find that green icon in the upper right and click New Project. That's step 1. Okay, so your canvas is completely empty. If you wanted to add text, you would click the text icon and add text. If you wanted to add a shape, you could click the shape icon and add a shape on there. Or if you wanted to upload images, this is where you would go. You click on that to upload images. Uploading images is so easy. It's just a drag and drop. So there's that. Okay, so if you're following along with me, you've got Design Space open. We're ready to insert an image. So on the left design panel, go ahead and click Images. Now, if you're on a tablet device or on a phone, you will want to look on the bottom images, the bottom icon on the left, and you'll look for images. I think it says images. Okay, so I'm at the recently added images, which it looks like they have some cute ideas for a banner. This is just great inspiration, getting us pumped up for the 4th of July. And just, I always love browsing through and kind of getting an idea of what other people are doing and working on. So that's a great spot to always land to, is the recently added. But if you're ready to do a search for an image, you know what you're looking for. You want to click on, let me see, how did I do that? You want to click on category, and we're going to do a search in all of the images that are available to us. So getting in the spirit of summer, why don't we do a search for fun and sun? All right. So here are a whole bunch of different images that come up for fun and sun. You've got a lot of different choices and a lot of different things you can do with them. But as luck would have it, this first image is free. So why don't we go ahead and grab that fun and sun, that first, or for me, it was my first image. If this isn't your first image and you don't see it as you're scrolling down, let me give you the image ID so you can pull that image up for yourself. Let's see if I can get this in the chats. You can pull this image up for yourself and craft along with me. Okay. There they are. All right. So if you're ready to go, what we'll do is go ahead, we'll click on Fun and Sun. If you want to see what images go with that, there are, wow, lots of different words that go with that. Okay, let's click back to the image. And I think those are different words because they're different letters. So actually, let me just go over that. If everybody wants to look at my screen real quick, see all these different letters. So if you wanted to type something different than fun and sun, you would just pick the letters that you wanted to write. If that makes sense. So let's say you wanted to say, you just like the look of that one, and you just wanted to put like your initials into something with using that font. You could just click on these images and add those to your canvas. So the fun and sun is, let me go back to image. So this image I've selected is a series of letters that are individual images that have been combined to say fun and sun. So if you wanted to say something different, but you liked the look of that, you would just go in and click the letters, and they would show up down in your queue down here at the bottom. So I've clicked VRD. So, and the fun and sun. So I'm going to insert those images. And they'll come in. And now you see, as I've inserted those images, they stack on top of each other in one big square. I'm just going to move it over to the center of my screen. And your layers panel has different layers on it because I brought in multiples. So to get those spread apart, you click outside of the image, and then you would click on each individual image and move them out of the way, like this. Okay. So I'm not going to be using these letters. I'm going to go ahead and delete those off my canvas. So I left click on the canvas, and I hold my mouse down and I scroll across and I select all three of those layers, and I can either delete here with the X icon, you can delete on your keyboard, or you can delete with the trash can in your layers panel. Now, reminder, if you're on a tablet, your layers panel, you can find that in the bottom middle of your screen. So if you're with me, you have fun. Give me a thumbs up if you have fun and sun on your, on your canvas. Awesome. Okay. So now let's grab our blank. And if everybody has a blank that they're working with, your blank it's called a blank, whatever you're putting your image on. So I'm going to be using the color changing glass from Michaels, which are so fun. And you want to measure how big you want your word to be. So for example, I'm just going to grab I have a tape measure here, and I'm going to go across. Actually, let me do this real quick. I'm going to stop sharing that screen. Okay. Here's my glass I'm going to be using, and I hold the glass from the back and I measure between my thumb and my finger here, because I figure like when somebody's holding the glass, you want your artwork to show, your design to show. So my image is going to be about 4 inches across. And I'm not too worried about the height because the design I've selected isn't like a really tall design. So I'm just going to worry about it being 4 inches across. So if you have your blank if you're working along with me and you have your blank, go ahead, grab it and measure. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to sharing my screen again. Where are we? Here we go. Okay. So here's my fun and sun on my canvas, and I want to change the width of it. It came in at 1.1, and I want to change the width to 4 inches. So I go up to the top here and I click on the width of the image, and I'm going to use my keyboard and type in 4. And that will change it to 4 inches across, which will fit on my glass nicely. Okay, so that's all you have to do. We brought an image in, we've resized that image, and we're ready to send it to our cutter. So to send it to your cutter, you just click the Make It icon up in the upper right corner, and your image that you're cutting comes onto your canvas. Now we get a couple of questions that I can answer, hopefully, right on this screen here. If you have, I tend to cut my vinyl into the size I'm cutting. I find it just uses less waste or has less waste that way. So I would check my measurements here and probably cut a piece that's 4 inches by 5 inches of my vinyl to cut. If I wanted to, if I was using like a big piece of vinyl that had a chunk out of it, let's say right here, you can left click on your image and move it around your canvas like this and move where you're going to cut it. But I'm just going to keep it right there and I cut my vinyl 4 inches by 5 inches and I'm ready to go. So then I just say continue. It's going to connect with my machine. Oops. Uh-oh. Let me go check my connection. It looks like I'm not connected. I wanted to do it with the Explore. Sorry, Joy. Are there any questions I can answer while I just get my machine?
Why don't you tell folks what you're doing, what the connection issue was?
Okay, so the connection issue, let me move my microphone and I will, if you want to, I'll stop share for a second and we can go to the overhead camera because I have a new machine. I have a new machine exclusive color to Michael's that I thought I would be fancy and use today, but I didn't realize I hadn't connected that to my machine yet. I haven't set it up as a new machine. So I'm going to grab the one I normally use and I'm going to plug that one in. And I think I'll be good to go.
And Kesley, when you say you haven't registered it, you mean that you haven't connected it to the Bluetooth on your computer?
I haven't connected it to the Bluetooth on my computer, and so I haven't set it up as a new machine.
Within your own system.
Right. So for myself, I haven't set it up as a new machine. This one I have. That's the one I normally use.
Right, because sometimes people don't realize that you need to go into the Bluetooth and make sure that the connection, the wireless connection is set up between your machine and your computer.
Yes. That's how you get, yeah. And I didn't do that before. I got ahead of myself this morning.
That was a good learning lesson for a moment there.
Always. Okay, so we'll go back, if you'll go back to spotlighting me, and I will go ahead and share my screen again so we can finish this up. And there we go. So now it's connected. It's happy with my air. It's right there. I have it set to I had it set to vinyl, but I just rotated my knob to custom. And you can, if you're on a Maker or a Joy, you always browse your materials. If you're on an Explore 2, you'll have the dial that you can select your material. So I'm going to browse my materials and I'll be using the shimmer vinyl today. I'm in love with that stuff. It's so pretty. So let me find the shimmer, premium vinyl shimmer. You just click it. Now I use this a lot and the gold star means I've selected it as one of my go-to materials. So if you have a material you use a lot, I highly recommend going ahead and clicking that material. It'll save you a little bit of time on the back end. Okay, now my pressures is set at default. And this is where the term smart comes in for the Cricut machines. The machines communicate, the software communicates to the machine and tells the machine, okay, she's cutting, it's going to be a shimmer vinyl. This is how much pressure you want to put on that vinyl to cut it. So I usually use, I usually go with the default settings and it normally works for me. If I'm working with a new material, I would test it out first before cutting out like a big, huge something. I would cut just a little circle or something to make sure it's going to work. And then it tells me to load my fine point blade in clamp B and then load my mat. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this. and we'll go to my overhead, and I'll get my mat all set up on my overhead. Okay, so here we are in the overhead section. Now I've got some different vinyls set up and to talk to you all about the different types of vinyl. There's the shimmer vinyl is one of the vinyls that you'll use a strong grip transfer tape. So if you're using a vinyl that has a texture to it, you definitely want to use a strong grip transfer tape because it grabs that vinyl and it's easier to pull it off of the backing. And when you put it down on something, it comes off easier. So if you're ever using like the shimmer vinyl or chalkboard vinyl and you have a really hard time getting it off the backing, you may not have the right transfer tape. And then for like your glossy vinyl and your removable vinyl, you would just use regular transfer tape. And the cool thing is the regular transfer tape is gray, where the strong grip transfer tape is purple. And it's a little bit hard to see here, but and the strong grip transfer tape says strong grip. So if you're using a let's see, if you're using a regular vinyl and you're using a strong grip transfer tape, you'll have a really hard time getting it to stick to your blank and pull up because that transfer tape just really wants to pull down on there. So I'm going to use this light blue shimmer vinyl. And one thing I love about Cricut's vinyl is the grids on the back. So you don't have to use a paper trimmer. I use a paper trimmer because I find it easier. So I'll just grab that and I'll cut my vinyl into about a 4-inch by 5-inch piece because that was the size of my Fun and Sun. So I'll do that 4 inches, and then you want to do the same thing with your transfer tape. So go ahead and cut your transfer tape at the same time to 4 by 5. All right. Now when you're using vinyl, you're going to actually be cutting the vinyl. So whether you're using iron-on vinyl or you're using adhesive vinyl, like the shimmers and adhesive vinyl, you always think I'm cutting the vinyl. So when you're using iron-on vinyl, you actually turn your vinyl over so that you're always putting the transfer sheet on your cutting mat. Okay, so I've got it on my cutting mat. I'm using the light grip cutting mat. For vinyl and paper, the light grip works well. So you can use your light grip or the standard grip. Either one will work fine. So you put your vinyl on your mat and go ahead and line it up in your wheels. And then you touch the load unload button and it loads in your paper. And then you go ahead and touch the go button and it will start cutting. Now, if you're ever worried that it didn't cut through, don't unload your mat, leave your mat in and check and make sure it cut through for you. If it didn't cut through before you unload your mat, you can touch the go button again and it will cut along the same lines to ensure that your image cut, which I think that's that's so smart to have that available. All right. So it cut, it unloaded. Now, if I wanted to make sure that it cut all the way through, I'm going to use my weeding tool and I'm not unloading it. It's still in the machine. And I'm just going to grab out a piece that I would want to remove and weed and make sure that it cuts smoothly. If for whatever reason I had a hard time, I don't think it cut through, I didn't have my settings right, you just hit that C button and it will cut through again. And I recommend, if you have like a scrap of vinyl, I would really recommend you give that a try because you wouldn't believe it until you do it. until you actually do it, you just kind of go like, that can't be right, but it is. Okay, So just to get this a little closer to you guys so you can see what I'm weeding, I'm going to go ahead and take this off of my mat first. So I flip this upside down. I hold down that vinyl and I peel my mat off of my vinyl. So you see that? You want to hold it upside down and peel your mat off of your vinyl. And if you're wondering how to clean your mats, like if you've gotten dust on it or you didn't cover it up the first time or anything like that, I keep a pack of baby wipes handy, and you can just wipe down your mat, working off any extra paper or anything that kind of got stuck to it, and then you let it dry for a second or so, and it stays sticky. It does not damage your stick at all, and you're ready to go for next time. Okay, so now let's grab our Fun and Sun, and we are going to go ahead and weed out the parts that we didn't want to keep. So for me, for my project, I'm going to weed out the outer edge of the words. And as you're weeding, you can kind of pull it. What I like to do when I weed is kind of not get myself caught up with too much material. That's again why I trim it down. But I don't want to get caught up with too much extra vinyl because I just don't want it to fold on top of the vinyl that I'm keeping. It doesn't harm it. It just, you have to be a little bit careful when you take it off so that it comes off completely. So you just work your way around. You can work clockwise, counterclockwise. I will hold on to my part I'm keeping with my weeding tool sometimes if I'm not using my weeding tool specifically to pick out little pieces. I just kind of use that to hold down what I want to hold down. So there we go there. And I do keep my lint roller handy so I can just stick that on the lint roller and it keeps it out of the way for me. And then I'm going to go ahead and weed out these last two little bits here and here. Okay, so now that everything's weeded out, it's nice and flat for me. I'm going to go ahead and grab my transfer tape, and I'm going to be using a strong grip transfer tape. Here we go. I'm going to be using a strong grip transfer tape, and you can there's two different ways I recommend to put your transfer tape on top of your image. One is the taco method. So you fold your transfer tape like a taco and you go in the center and spread it out. Or you can use a hinge method. So I am working on a self-healing mat, which gives me the grid lines. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier. So I'm going to line up a line of the transfer tape with a line of the self-healing mat here. And then I'm going to take my vinyl that's on the backing and I can just line that up along the line. Line the line. I said line a lot. So you just kind of line that up on the line, align it with the line, and then you hinge your transfer tape over your vinyl. Okay, so that will give you the side of my vinyl, this is a straight line for me. And then I use my scraper and I scrape the vinyl on top of, I scrape on top of the transfer tape to make sure the front of it is adhering and sticking together. And then I flip it over and I do the same on the back to make sure like it's going to come off. And then when you're ready to peel it off, all you should do is just peel it off and it should come right off for you. If it doesn't, and if a little piece of it holds on to it, use your scraper and hold your scraper, fold your transfer paper, your vinyl backing paper over the transfer tape and put pressure on the back of the paper as you're pulling back. And then I also find if I wiggle it back and forth, a little piece that might have been holding tight will loosen up. So So I'm going to put my transfer tape aside so I can re-put my transfer tape on there. I will grab something to hold my cup. I use just these face cloths are easy and they'll hold it in place. You can use your lint roller to hold it in place. Anything like that will hold it right in line for you. So I just kind of put those there and then I grab my cup. And the great thing about a cup is you don't have to really worry about finding the middle line because anywhere on the cup is the middle line, but you might want to be sensitive to how high or how low it goes. So wherever you want to place it, you can adjust it that way. Worry about lining it that way. So I may just put it right here, lining up the top there. And again, I put it down with like a taco technique. So I put the middle down first and I'm holding up the sides. And then I will put one side down and the other side down. Now, if you're using a cup that has, if you're trying to get more down on the narrow part of it, or you're using a cup that has more of a slant to the sides, you can cut into your transfer tape, which will make it easier to put it down and therefore less chance of getting bubbles. But if you get bubbles, don't worry, you can kind of pull it up a little bit and work it in, or you can, people will use a hair dryer and they find that works. But I'm just gonna pull this right off. And there's my fun and sun. And then I have my transfer tape here. So I'll just put that back on here and it's ready to use on another cup. There we go. We are ready for the beach. All right. Any questions before we switch back?
Sorry, Kesley.
No worries.
Everybody's saying how much they like your little project and how cute it was.
Oh, awesome.
There are some questions about washing.
Oh, okay, great. So I usually go with the, you can go ahead and I think go back to my, I usually go with the instructions on the material I'm using. So I'm sorry, not the material, the cup I'm using. And a lot of times the cups I'm using are not dishwasher safe. I tend to hand wash and recommend hand washing on items. I think that's the best way to get your longevity out of what you've made.
There were also, I think somebody missed how you put the transfer tape on the project.
Oh, okay.
Yes, she just wanted to know how you added your transfer tape.
I used the hinge method. So I put my image down and then I lined up one side of my transfer tape with the edge of my design and then folded it over to make like a hinge, a door hinge. And for something like that fun and sun, that can really be a sticker because there's no loose pieces. You could actually pick that up and not use transfer tape. I like to use transfer tape because it kind of gives me a way to see it, how it's going down. And if you're doing smaller, like if you have something with lots of little pieces in it, then you definitely want to use transfer tape.
Okay. So a few questions still about how long generally do you think will it stay on the cup?
So that's a really good question. I have a swell bottle that I put my name on with black glitter. Probably it was way before COVID. So I know it's been at least a year. I would say it's like 3 years. And I just wash that by hand. It's never gone in the dishwasher. So I've had that on there for 3 years and I haven't had any problem with it coming off. Now I do use permanent vinyl on my materials like cups and things like that are going to be, that I want to stay there. I use removable vinyl on things like my home decor things. If I'm decorating my back door and I want to put like a little saying on the back door, or if I want to have a little saying on a wall that I know I'm going to want to peel off, I'll just use removable. Another example is like those big gallon drink buckets that you have at parties. So if I'm hosting an adult party, I have beer on it. If I'm hosting a kids party, I'll take that beer off and put sippy cup, or not sippy cups, but like juice boxes. So it just depends on if you want something that's going to last and that's going to be there, you want to use permanent vinyl. So if you're making if you want to make car decals, if you want to cut out the little people to put on the back of your car, that's where you definitely want to use a permanent vinyl. But if it's a temporary, you don't intend it to be there for more than 2 years, then you can use removable vinyl. The permanent vinyl also outside is fantastic. I have flower buckets I made for my son's graduation 3 years ago, and they still have senior 2018 on them.
Okay, so Kesley, a couple more quickie questions. Do you use any sealer over the vinyl?
I don't use a sealer over my vinyl. I don't. And I know people do. Like I've seen people put Mod Podge on theirs and things like that. I don't. I guess I just figure if it's gonna fall off, then it's time for it to come off and have a new design on it. So I don't put it on there.
Good answer. And then real quickly, Kesley, do you think you could reshare your PowerPoint from the beginning that has that one?
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
That's a great one.
That. And then I'm trying to see, we have 2 more minutes left. Somebody's asking if the specialty vinyl, like holographic, is considered a permanent or removable. The only ones that are technically removable are those that say so. Otherwise, consider it a permanent vinyl. That's just my policy. That way I don't apply anything that I want to take off and make any mistakes.
Yeah, and Joy, I'm seeing some questions more about sealing your designs. And somebody's asking about epoxy on your, you can, like, if you want to make those the tumbler glasses where you put words on it and then glitter and epoxy, then that's a different process than just, putting some vinyl on a mug or a swell bottle, or I'm trying, like, I have my kids have those big, huge gallon bottles that they take to their sports things, and we have their names on there, and they've been on there for 6 years. They've been thrown around inside outside, and I don't think any of them have fallen off their jugs. So if you are doing the where you want to put the glitter on it and put it on the spinning wheel and that, then you definitely want to seal that, and then you would use like epoxy or something like that. But yeah, on like this color changing glass, I would hand wash that, and I wouldn't put any type of sealer on it.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, I think we are right at our time. And thank you so much, Kesley. That was an excellent class. Such a good job and such a fun project. We really appreciate you teaching us how to make that.
Thank you, guys. No, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everyone who followed along and gave me their thumbs up and let me know they were with me as I walked through the steps. So it's great to see everybody's faces on this beautiful Monday day.
Thank you, Kesley.
Everyone have a great week.